Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about all of the thriller and horror books I am prioritizing on my TBR. So it is spooky season. I am definitely in the spooky mood. I like to match the books to the season we are in, and when I think of fall, I think of thriller books, I think of horror books, I think of all the spooky vibes. I am asking you all to let me know if your favorite horror book doesn't get mentioned in this video. Please drop it down below because I'm definitely looking for more horror book recommendations. So with all of that being said, before we get into talking about all of the books, I quickly need to thank Fanka for so kindly sending me their leggings. If you've never heard of Fanka before, Fanka is a fabricnology oriented apparel brand that is dedicated to making women shine. They believe in the highest of quality fabrics and making it so that the leggings that you're wearing feel like a second skin to you. And I so kindly received from them 4 different pairs of leggings, and I truly can say that they do feel like a second skin. The way they just shape to your body so nicely. They feel like the highest of quality materials. I went ahead and got 4 different pairs from their Lift and Curve collection, which is their most popular collection, and I believe for good reason, because it's very flattering and it makes you feel very confident in your body. I received the 6-inch black biker shorts, the 9-inch gray biker shorts, and then I also went with 2 pairs of their full-length leggings, one in this beautiful berry color, and then one of the black ones that I'm actually wearing right now because I love them so much. I've been wearing these recently to the gym and I absolutely love the way they feel. It feels like you can really do any type of exercise in them, anything from running, cardio, yoga, stretching, even weight training. So I have been loving their product. One thing to keep in mind is with all of their leggings, they use high compression for targeted support. So these are compression leggings. They have tummy control, they have a booty lifting feature, they also have muscle support and knee support. So they're going to feel tight on you, but they're meant to. It means that their compression feature is working. One other really cool thing about their leggings is that they are reversible. So with specifically the Lift and Curve collection, they do have kind of this design on their legging, but if you didn't want to use that particular design, you can reverse it and it will just be a plain legging. So that is a really cool feature as well that I really love. Fanka was so kind to send me a discount code for you all that you can use. It is Jessie12 to get 12% off of your purchase at Fanka. So thank you so much to Fanka for so kindly sending me your leggings. I absolutely love them. Now we will get to talking about all of the books. So let's start with some of the horror and thriller books that I already own. So those will definitely be first priority on my TBR, and then we'll get to the ones that are on the highest of priorities for books that I don't own yet, but if I were to do a book haul, these would be the next ones on my list. So starting with All's Well by Mona Awad. This is one that I picked up because I'd heard a lot about this author's bunny novel, and this particular one I'd found at a local used bookstore and it just sounded really interesting and different. It says it's a darkly funny novel about a theater professor suffering chronic pain who is in the process of staging a troubled production of Shakespeare's most maligned play, and he suddenly and miraculously recovers. So very curious about that one. No idea what to expect. I know that her bunny novel is very strange, almost fever dream-like, so maybe this one's similar, but I'm definitely intrigued by Mona Awad and want to try out her books. The next one I had was The Passage by Justin Cronin. This is a horror kind of sci-fi fantasy-ish novel, but I think it's mostly horror because it takes place in our world, and I think it is vampires, which I am very intrigued by. I know that this actually got adapted into a television series, and it's one that I had found at my local Goodwill, so I was very surprised and immediately grabbed it. It says, an epic chronicle of human endurance in the face of unprecedented catastrophe and unimaginable danger. Its inventive storytelling, masterly prose, and depth of human insight mark it as a crucial and transcendent work of modern fiction. My goodness, that is intense. I have no idea what to expect. I love vampires, and I like really evil vampires, so I'm hoping that this delivers on it. The next one I have is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. This is one I've heard a lot about, and when I saw it at my local used bookstore, I had to grab it. It is the first book in what's now, I think, a trilogy. And it follows a character who very much has a kind of a tough life, and she escapes reality by going to horror movies. So she has a ton of knowledge of horror movies, and then something actually starts to happen that's a lot like the stuff from the horror movies that she's so familiar with. So she is predicting how the plots are going to unfold and trying to, I think, get out of this alive. And I think that it sounds kind of meta and a lot of fun. So I'm really curious to check it out. I've heard kind of mixed things. It doesn't have the highest Goodreads rating, but neither does Imaginary Friend. So I definitely am one to try any kind of horror, no matter what others think of it, because maybe I will love it. I do have a couple of Stephen Kings that I'll just mention really quickly. The next couple that I have on my TBR are The Institute and Firestarter. The Institute because I had found that one at a local used bookstore and grabbed it, and I think it kind of gives me like a little bit of Stranger Things vibes because I think it's about children with superpowers, kind of. And then Firestarter, I grabbed because I'm trying to kind of just work my way through Stephen King's backlist, and Firestarter was the next one on my list. So I know that that one is about a little girl who has the ability to manipulate fire. I think it became a movie starring Zac Efron, but I don't know that I'm going to see the movie because I don't know if it's super good. But yeah, those are the next two Stephen Kings on my list. I also have The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. This is one that I picked up because I read The Invited by her and I really, really liked it. And I think that this is actually her most popular horror book, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know much about it, but I just really liked the way The Invited was written, and I loved the concepts in The Invited. It was very different. So I'm hoping that this one is kind of that same brand of paranormal horror that I really loved from The Invited. I think it's going to be. One more is The Shadows by Alex North. This is one that, again, I picked up because I'd read another book by this author, The Whisper Man, which is one of my favorite horror books of all time. I absolutely loved The Whisper Man, so I just had to grab whatever else this author was going to put out, and The Shadows was his next release. So I don't know much about this one. I think it's about a teenager who might be capable of doing some pretty atrocious things, but it sounds like we're following kind of a present day timeline that's looking back on what might have happened in the past and rethinking things, and maybe things weren't what they seemed at the time. So this one sounds very interesting. It sounds like it has a really good mystery element to it. Okay, so that is it for ones that I already own. So as you can see, I don't have a ton of horror / thriller books that I already own that I'm like chomping at the bit to read. So now let's get to the books that I don't own yet, but I would really like to and sound very, very good. I would love to read these soon. First one I have is The Saturday Night Ghost Club by Craig Davidson. This I think just sounds like so much fun. It says, a short, infectious, and bittersweet coming-of-age story in the vein of Stranger Things and Stand By Me about a group of misfit kids who spend an unforgettable summer investigating local ghost stories and urban legends. I mean, anytime anyone pitches something to me is similar to Stranger Things, I'm instantly intrigued, and I just love these types of horror coming of age stories. So I was immediately intrigued by this, and I definitely want to give it a try. Another one I have is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is one that I am interested in because it is a retelling of Carrie by Stephen King. I love Carrie. That is my favorite Stephen King book so far, and anything that's going to retell it, I'm instantly intrigued by. The Weight of Blood specifically, I believe, is about a biracial teenager at her Georgia high school who is hosting her first integrated prom, and it's also tackling America's history and legacy of racism. So it also sounds like it's going to hit some different themes and hit pretty hard. So I'm really, really intrigued by this one. I think it sounds great. Next one I have is called Sign Here by Claudia Lux. This one is a darkly humorous, surprisingly poignant, and utterly gripping debut novel about a guy who works in hell, literally, and is on the cusp of a big promotion if only he can get one more member of the wealthy Harrison family to sell their soul. This sounds like it's kind of cheeky, which I always love in horror books if they have like a little bit of humor tied in. I think it sounds like a ton of fun. Another one I have is The Island by Adrienne McKinty. I read The Chain by this author and was so gripped. I could not put that book down. It was so harrowing. That says it was just supposed to be a family vacation. A terrible accident changed everything. You don't know what you're capable of until they come for your family. I don't need to know much more. I really, really liked Adrienne McKinty's The Chain, so I'm definitely going to read whatever else he puts out. Another one I have that I added because of a book by this author that I've read before, Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough. It's one that says it's a twisty, mind-bending thriller about Emma, who worries that her crippling insomnia is a sign that she's going slowly insane, like the mother she's worked so hard to leave in her past. So, unreliable narrator. I really like those kinds of things. I'm all for it. Of course, I have to mention The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is definitely one that I'm gonna read. I know it's super hyped already, and it's not necessarily horror. It sounds like it has kind of a gothic atmosphere to it, which I really like the idea of. It says Riley Sager returns with a gothic chiller about a young caregiver assigned to work for a woman accused of a Lizzie Borden-like massacre decades earlier. Count me in. Another one I have is A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. I really enjoyed A Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. I know that might be an unpopular opinion because of the ending of that book, but I really liked it. I had a ton of fun with that book. So I would love to check out this one. I think this one is following a family who is hiring a priest to perform an exorcism because they believe that their daughter is exhibiting signs that she might be possessed. Love it. I'm here for it. I mean, I don't love that for them, but I'm definitely going to read it. A couple others that I am very intrigued by that I have on my list. You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Barron. This one is following, it's more of a YA horror, but it's following a girl who goes to a camp where they are meant to play out the dreams of being a final girl. So it kind of is a way to create a game where you are in a slasher film and you get to try to escape and kind of have fun doing it, but it sounds like things go from being just for pretend to a little bit too real, and she's actually now trying to survive. And it sounds just very meta and fun, and I'm here for it. Another one I have is The Elementals. I believe this is more of a classic horror novel, and it was first published in 1981, and it says that it is about 3 Victorian summer houses where only 2 are still in use. The third house, filling with sand, is empty, except for the vicious horror which is shaping nightmares from the nothingness that hangs in the dank, fetid air. And I believe that there's a family who rents out this house and things ensue from there. So I love haunted house stories, and this one sounds like it's very, very good. Another one I have is Confessions by Kanae Minato. So this is one that is a Japanese thriller horror novel, and I think that this one was really, really hyped from last year. I saw a ton of booktubers talking about it, and a lot of them were loving it. So that's what originally intrigued me to this one. I do love anything coming out of Japan about Japan. Her pupils killed her daughter. Now she will have her revenge. That's all I need to know. Say no more. I am all in on this. There's also the September House by Carissa Orlando. This is a newer release. It just came out September 5th. It says a woman is determined to stay in her dream home even after it becomes a haunted nightmare in this compulsively readable, twisty, and layered debut novel. I, again, love haunted houses, so I'm gonna read anything with a good old haunted house. A couple more I have, one being Delicious Monsters by Liselle Sambury. This says The Haunting of Hill House meets Sadie in this evocative and mind-bending psychological thriller following two teen girls navigating the treacherous past of a mysterious mansion 10 years apart. Love horror books or thriller books with a split timeline, where there's something going on in the present, there's something going on in the past. We're trying to figure out in the present what happened in the past to explain what's going on in the present. I love that kind of stuff. So I'm so excited about this one. And I believe this is a YA horror and it's been getting amazing reviews. I really want to read this. Last one I have is another recent release and the pitch just sold me. They got me. It is a YA horror and it is Find Him Where You Left Him Dead. It says it is Jumanji, but Japanese inspired. Say no more. Say no more. I don't have to say anymore because I know you're already sold, but I will. So it's Jumanji, but Japanese inspired, about estranged friends playing a deadly game in a nightmarish folkloric underworld. 4 years ago, 5 kids started a game. Not all of them survived. Now at the end of the senior year of high school, the survivors have reunited for one strange and terrible reason. They've been summoned by the ghost of Ian, the friend they left for dead. Together they return to the place where their friendship ended. So they restart the deadly game they never finished. And it's a game without instructions. And as soon as they begin, they're dragged out of their reality into an eerie hellscape of Japanese underworlds. There they meet Shinigami, an old wise woman who explains the rules. They have one night to complete 7 challenges or they'll all be stuck in this world forever. How good does this sound? How good? How good does that sound? I don't care what anyone else says about this. I don't care if it's like a 1.00 rating on Goodreads. I'm gonna read it because it sounds so freaking cool. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Those are all of the horror books, maybe some more thriller than horror books that I have on my priority TBR, if you will. So now is your turn to tell me in the comments down below, what is your favorite horror novel that you've ever read? I am desperately looking for some more recommendations here, so I'll take them all. Just send them all my way and I will add them all to my TBR. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!